Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Judith Patterson. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Texas, and today I'm going to show you how to make a card from the catalog. This week, the card that I'm showing you is on page 45 of the 2022 January to June mini catalog. And I'll go ahead and show that to you real quick. So I'm going to be making this one right here. I am making several changes, although I am keeping the basic color scheme the same. Let me see if I can get that camera to focus a little better. And there we are. Okay, so I'm changing the color of the gems. I'm not a huge fan of that color of gem, but everything else is pretty much staying the same, except I'm not using the stamp or the die, this die that they used to cut the vellum. I'm not using those. I'm going to be using something a little different for both of those. Because there's almost always a way to use something that you already have, especially once you start building your stash up. There's almost always a way to use something that you have to improvise if you don't have something, because I know as much as we all want to have everything in the catalogs, trust me, I want everything, but I just can't afford to do that. So I always look for things that I can do to change things up a little bit. All right, before we get started stamping though, the vellum that is used on this card, y'all, I don't know if you've seen it. It's in this catalog. It's called Vellum Layering Designs, and it's awesome. So let me switch that camera again. All right, so it comes in 3 designs, and some of them, each one comes in white on the vellum, and then in black on the vellum. So here's the first one, and here's the second one. This one is super cool. And then here is the third one. And it's that first one that I'm using today, but any of these would work great. So, and then all of these also come in black. So, let's see if it'll focus. There it is. And these are all actual historical documents. I wish I could remember. They told us at Onstage last year what was what, and I want to say that this is like Central Park plans. One I think is a letter. I don't remember what the other one is. That is not gonna focus. There it goes. Okay, so pretty cool stuff. I'm gonna set it all to the side now. I'm gonna put it behind me. Okay, so the first thing that I did, actually the very first thing that I did, was I grabbed my polished dots, and I started coloring a few of them with my Night of Navy Stampin' Blend. And just to make them a little bit darker, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more color, and I do use the brush tip when I'm doing this. I will warn you, after doing this for a while, you can start to mess up your tip a little bit. So just be aware of that and prepared for it if you decide to do this. I love coloring my embellishments with my blends. I think I'm wiping off more of the color than I'm actually adding, so I'm going to stop there. Okay, putting that to the side. So the first thing now that I'm going to do, I've already cut my strips. Okay, so instead of using stamps, I'm using In Good Taste Designer Series paper. And I've cut 5 pieces. Each one is 1 inch by 3 inches. 1 inch by 3 inches. Okay, so I'm just going to set those to the side. And then I have a piece of vellum that's cut 6 inches by, I believe it's by 2 3/4 inches. let me double check that. Yep, 2 3/4 of an inch by 6 inches. I have my standard size stamp cut and emboss machine out because this die will not fit in the smaller one. And this is the largest rectangle die from Scalloped Contours dies. If y'all follow me very much, you probably know I use this all the time. So I'm going to start by lining it up at the bottom, and I want to make sure that my die is completely on my vellum, and I want to get it straight, as straight as I can. Okay, so I'm just going to use this washi tape to hold this down to the vellum so it stays hopefully straight. Add that third plate on top. Okay, so you'll see I cut the sides and I cut the bottom, but I didn't cut the top yet because I didn't want this to be that big. So now I'm going to move this and get all these little bits and pieces off my cutting plate. So every once in a while, I take a lint roller and I roll it over this plate to get all these little pieces of cardstock that get embedded out. Looks like I probably need to do that again soon. All right, so now I'm going to line this up. Whoops. I'm going to line this up on the other end. And cut out the top. So I want 1, 2, 3, 4 holes. So that means I'm going to line it up right here. So this top one, let me see if you can see that. So this top one I'm going to cut again. So it's already partially cut, but I want to go ahead and cut this corner out and then cut along the top. Hopefully that makes sense. So you should have 4 middle holes and then 1 on either end of that. So when you flip it over, you can just make sure that everything is lined up well. I suggest making sure that these are punched out on the corners so you can make sure you've got the holes lined up right. And you can feel it while you're holding it, but then when you set it down, you can't feel it anymore. So I'm going to move the washi tape to the inside so that it's holding that still. Do the same thing over here. Just making sure all this is lined up. I love that we can use these dies. The rectangle dies work great like this. Of course, these fancy dies. What other dies? I've used so many dies like this. Any of the like label dies, anything that is symmetrical, you can use to just go part the way through, pull it out, adjust it to where you want it, and then put it the rest of the way through on the other side to get whatever size that you want. All right, I'm going to go ahead and keep this out because now we're going to do the words, and I'm using the Amazing Thanks dies for this part. So for these big ones, I'm going to use U, Amazing, and R, and then I'm going to use the smaller ones too. So for the background pieces, that's these larger ones, I'm just using, I don't need the thanks. I'm just using basic white cardstock. And I'm just grabbing them out of my scrap bin over here. Not be able to fit them all on one piece because that's a pretty big scrap. Look at that. All right, I'm going to put this other one up. That's handy. So I didn't realize it until a while ago, but this stamp, or not stamp, but this card doesn't require any stamping. I think this is the second week in a row I have done a card that doesn't require any stamping. So not like me. Love my stamping. But sometimes you just don't need to do it. So this is Cinnamon Cider. This is one of the In colors. It's the 2020 to 2022 In colors that this is part of. And so it will be retiring at the end of April or when supplies run out. So if this is a color that you love, I recommend stocking up on it sooner rather than later. Okay, so let's get all of our pieces here. So something that I always forget to do, and I have them and I still forget to use them. So when you cut out this part, you could put these on the foam sheets and cut them out that way, and that way they're already ready to stick on your card and they'll already be lifted up. I just keep forgetting to do that, so I'm gonna be using miniature Stampin Dimensionals. Love my mini Stampin Dimensionals. If you don't have mini Stampin Dimensionals, you can also use just the regular Stampin Dimensionals and cut them in half. But the minis are perfect on this if you do like I did and forget to use the foam sheets. I just dab a little bit of glue. You could also use the sticker sheets for this part, and I thought about that, but in order to get the word, the top one, centered up correctly on the bottom one, I didn't want it so sticky that it just stuck and I didn't have any didn't have any wiggle room. I need wiggle room. See, I just wiggled that into place. And as long as you don't squeeze your glue too hard, it's real easy to get your little dabs here. Although I will admit, every once in a while when I have a brand new bottle of glue, I forget that I have a brand new bottle of glue and I squeeze too much. There we go. Then one more. Okay, so now I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool and go ahead and poke the rest of these out of these little half circles here. There we go. The border's nice and ready to go. Okay, so I went ahead and cut, I have my card base. This is, the front here is 5.5 inches by 4.25 inches. And this piece is 4 inches by 5.25 inches. So I'm gonna use a glue dot. I'm just gonna grab a couple of them here. Most of this is empty. So I'm just gonna put one right here on the back of this, and then I'm gonna put one just on the other side, still on the back. Now I'm gonna take my petal pink ribbon. This is 1/8 of an inch, and it's from the cotton ribbon combo. The other one in this combo is Misty Moonlight, which is another retiring In color. So I'm wrapping it around so that it is across the front 3 times. And you can overlap them, you can squish them together, you can put them equally distant apart. I don't even know what I did. I just wrapped them. So I'm starting and stopping the ribbon on a glue dot. Then I'm going to take this piece. I'm going to use Stampin Dimensionals. Got that a little close to the edge. I want to pull it in a little. I'm just overlapping the ribbon just a little bit to just make it that much more secure. There we go. So when you turn it over, if you don't like how they look, then you can adjust them whatever way you want to. They are going to be somewhat covered up by your pieces of designer series paper, or if you do the stamped version and use the Timeless Tiles clean stamp set, that's fine too. So now I'm going to take 3 of these and I'm going to put Stampin' Dimensionals just on either end on the back. Make sure you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, so now these I'm gonna put over this ribbon. So like I said, most of the ribbon is gonna be covered anyway. And just angle them whatever way. And keep them however high or low that you want. Angle that one just a smidge more, maybe. Yep. There we go, just a smidgen more. Okay, so now I'm gonna put the Stampin' Dimensionals. I'm gonna put one here. I'm gonna put one here. I'm gonna put this on top. I'm gonna angle it that way. Put this one over here and angle it like this. So now I'm gonna take my liquid glue, and this part that is on top of this other piece, I'm just gonna put some liquid glue on the back here and stick it down to that one. Same thing on this side, just some liquid glue on the back and stick it down to that one. Now they're nice and level. There's not anything that's higher than the other ones. They're all at the same height. So now I'm going to take the You Are Amazing, get an idea of how I want it on my card here. I think that actually made my background bigger than I had intended. So I'm going to cut that down one more. So you know how I said there should be 4 circles in between the ends? Let's just make 3 circles between the ends. So let me grab that die again. And I'm going to move it down one spot. I'm going to start with this side. Oops, I went the wrong way. So I want it this way. And I'm going to put this washi tape right here. And then this one, I'm going to bring it over here, make sure everything is lined up. Whoops, my washi tape has been used so many times it's not wanting to stick anymore. It looks There we go. Pull this washi off. Okay, now it's cut the way I wanted it, except my corners are a little wonky. So I'm just gonna, actually I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm afraid if I start cutting it, I'm gonna make it worse. So it's good like it is. It's a little off. I got a little silly there. Okay. So now I'm gonna use mini Stampin Dimensionals to attach this to this piece before I do anything else. And even with getting the ends weird on that one, they were perfect the first time I cut it, but I just didn't like how big that was. And I'm probably going overboard on the Stampin Dimensionals, but I sure do like to use these little guys. I like to make sure everything is gonna stay at an even level and not get mushed down weirdly. I'm just gonna put 2 on this one. And then this one's gonna get quite a few. One more. So every once in a while I end up with so many dimensionals, I forget to take the backing off of one. So frustrating. But I think I got them all that time. I think that'll work. Okay, so now, because we don't want our adhesive to show through this vellum, I'm going to use liquid glue on the back of the vellum, just where the words are. So that's why I wanted to place my words before I did anything else, because that way I can turn it over and see through, and I have a little cheating system here. The glue does dry clear, so it's not super noticeable if you don't cover it up, but it's a lot better if you can cover it with something, All right, so there's that. And now I'm going to take these polished dots that I colored, and with my handy take your pick tool, I'm going to add the polished dots to the front of my card. So I'm going to put one up here. I'm going to put one over here. I'll grab a bigger one. Put it here, maybe. There we go. Down here. Let's throw one off. And honestly, this is pretty close to what the placement of the dots were in the catalog as well. I just find it easy to do it that way. I am going to add one more though, because I colored some extra ones. So the question is, do I want it here or here? I think I'm going to put it down here. There we go. All right. So what do you think? Do you like the polished dots, or do you like the Artistry Blooms adhesive backed sequins better? I asked my youngest daughter whenever I was designing this card with all my little changes, what she thought that I should do, since I don't have the artistry blooms. And she said, I think you should do something a darker blue. So that's why I've got the knot of navy. I really like the way it turns out whenever you color it with the blends. It kind of gives it a marbly kind of look. So here it is closer. Maybe it'll focus and you can see the details there. There it is. So just some handy little tricks when you don't have all of the exact products that are used on a card in the catalog. It makes you get a little bit more creative even, and it's not a bad thing to not have everything. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do not have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you would like a catalog, I know I always like having the physical catalog in my hands that I can flip through. I do use my PDF a lot because I have a bunch of them on PDF and I can look through them wherever I'm at that way because I keep them on my iPad. But I like having the physical ones too. I keep those at my desk and look through them probably pretty much every day. So anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. If you don't have a demonstrator and you would like to have a catalog, let me know. This is the month that we do our ordering of the new catalogs so that they can go out next month and they'll go straight to you. So if you would like one of those new ones, let me know and I will get you on my mailing list so that you can get one of those as soon as possible in the mail. Of course, if you are ready to start ordering things at the first chance, I don't think we'll be able to order everything in the catalog, but we'll be able to order a few things as demonstrators in April. So I would love to have you on my team if you want to be part of the group that gets to do that. Yeah, I think that's all I have. If there is a card in the 2021 to 2022 annual catalog that you would like to see made, or some version of that card made with whatever I have on hand to be able to do that, let me know, because April is the last month that I'll be making cards from that catalog. Once it retires, then I put it away and we'll be on to the new catalogs. So be sure to drop me a note if you would like to see something new. All right, I hope y'all have a fabulous week and happy stamping.